Hello and welcome to my channel. Here I review new movies and television shows. Today I want to talk about Tetris. It's a historical drama that tells the tale of Hank Rogers, a businessman who teamed up with the game's creator, Alexei Pajitnov, to bring the game to the masses. It was written by Noah Pink and directed by John S. Baird, and it tells the history of the game, how Alexei created it, and how it initially got sold to distributing companies. From the perspective of Hank Rogers, we learn how that deal came to be, how crooked the men who brokered it were, and then watch as Hank goes to work making a new deal with the Soviet Union and Alexei. In the process, we get a touching story of friendship, learn about Rogers, Nintendo, and the publishing landscape at the time, and get immersed in Soviet culture. To start off, the movie has a bit of a quirky nature to it. It makes a lot of references to video games, in the dialogue, in the subject matter, and mixed in with the overall storytelling design. Each of the major characters is introduced in sprite form and given a player number. The transition scenes between locations are done in a video game pixelated style, and they introduce several classic video game sounds and animations into the film. It definitely has a video game style to it, and while I understand they wanted it to bring out a nostalgic feeling, in some ways it also feels repetitive and underutilized. It's kind of fun at first, but the music is repetitive just like a video game and quickly becomes annoying. The transitions feel like a nice aside, but aren't all that impressive, and aren't on screen long enough to have a major impact. The dialogue references might be the worst offender though. They constantly add references to classic video games, and Rogers uses comparisons and video game analogies to communicate with different people throughout the film. It feels incredibly forced, like when Grandpa starts talking in the latest lingo. However, once you get past the quirky nature of the film, you'll discover a decent story at its heart. A tale of adversity, triumph, and friendship. Hank Rogers is an interesting man who took a huge risk, investing all of his life savings into his Tetris deal, and the lengths he went to are a sight to behold. In the movie, he's played by Taron Egerton, who comes off a bit like a kid wearing his dad's suit. He looks a little goofy next to all these powerful, pompous businessmen, and yet he delivers a powerful performance in the role. He's charismatic and innocent, and his passion for the project can be seen in his desperation. He pulls off an American accent while nailing the different speeches he gives throughout the film. Next to him is Nikita Efremov, playing Alexei Pajitnov, the inventor of the game, an intelligent and creative man that just wants to share his game with the world. He dreams of a better future for his family and people, and takes quickly to Hank Rogers. The two bond over their love of programming, similar ideals, and connected role in the events unfolding. Efremov plays the character in a realistic way, always looking over his shoulder for someone watching him and always showing a bit of reservation when repeating the communist dogma. He has great chemistry with Egerton, and the two have a strong bromance vibe going on in the film. Beyond these two, the rest of the cast is made up of experienced actors who play supporting roles, each of them doing a decent job but never really standing out. The film doesn't give them much to do and keeps everyone's time short. It's really more focused on getting all the historical details jammed into the film. The story is true to the original history for the most part, with minor details that could be disputed, but nothing outright wrong. It's consistent in the narrative and tone all across the film, but struggles with pacing issues at the start. It's just a little slow and boring while everything is getting set up. But once all the players are in the game and ready to go, it kicks off and becomes an interesting tale. Visually, the film follows a lot of basic drama-style shoots. It dresses everyone up in a more retro look, places them in simple environments made up to look like Soviet-era Russia, and focuses heavily on capturing the emotions of Hank and the different players as they engage in legal discourse with one another. On top of that, they include the aforementioned video game graphics for transitions, character introductions, and visual references. They also use it in a minor car chase near the end of the film. It was kind of funny to see the cars turn pixelated when they got damaged, but it wasn't a major occurrence. The film lacks scenery, complex angles, and a level of energy that helps create cinematic moments. It replaces them with the video game style, but it doesn't have the same effect, and the film appears very simplistic and somewhat visually boring. Sound-wise, the film is highly repetitive with a few catchy original songs now and again, but a lot of techno dance music that all sounds similar, and gets overused quite a bit. There are moments when it works well with what's going on in the scene, but often it just feels out of place. The music is constantly trying to invoke a sense of wonder or awe, and the feelings aren't always present. With how often they use it, how loud it is, and how often it competes for prominence in the film, it clearly steps over a line. Overall, the film does a pretty good job of informing you of the history of Tetris. The relationship between Alexei and Hank is actually a decent bromance, and there are some decent morals in here about standing up for what's right and how it brings people together. The film tries to add a distinctive video game style to it, and while it isn't totally new, it is experimental. They tried to blend the two worlds, and while I don't think it worked, it was definitely a risk which is worth a point in my book. If you like learning about history or Tetris, this movie is pretty interesting. It's also a good choice if you like legal dramas with different people going back and forth trying to broker a deal while looking for every little loophole they can find. 8 out of 10. Remember guys, these are just my thoughts on the film. Let me know what you think in the comment section below.
Keep on home.